I just don't fall for that trap that Fox News sometimes falls into about you got to be, this is what you got to do to be a great man. You got to be, do this and that to be a great man. I think of life in more terms of sometimes you're not supposed to be the hardest worker, fastest worker, working at the highest pace. You're supposed to slow down and be the best, most studious person, studying, contemplating, meditating, setting time aside for those things. And that could be said for in many venues. You could be the best basketball player if you commit to just basketball and not everything else. And you don't have to be rigorous trying to keep up with two other skills that you want to be good at. You work on that one skill and you dedicate to it and you commit to it. I've seen the people that succeed in track and field commit to that. And they didn't work as hard as me because I was trying to be good at trumpet. I was trying to do I was working, trying to run track and field, working hard in the summers, trying to work on being a good singer, studying Bible, taking lots of courses, doing those things back in college. And that's, some people can do more, right? And still be good. But the people that succeeded were dedicated to track and field and just really kind of taking it easy, going to the weight room and staying there longer than everybody else, but not going in there and doing necessarily the hardest workouts, but doing it longer, just relaxing and getting their reps in with more rest in between, stuff like that. That people had various ways of doing it. But because they took it easy and worked an easy job instead of a hard labor job, they got their miles in the summertime. That's an example. And that those miles in the summer aren't that hard to do. They were able to study and run their miles. And that prepared them to be much faster at every event they wanted to run, including the sprints. I mean, I learned that one year when I did a cross-country experiment. I did it out of shape, though, and injured my foot, but ran things that people thought I was going to set records, but I injured myself long-term because I was running 50 miles a week after running 0 miles a week. Anyway, but I was working hard when I was there. But because of the injury, people thought I wasn't a hard worker because I had this talent. They all of a sudden saw some talent. He had talent and he wasted his talent. He's faking his injury. No, I wasn't. I worked too hard after not doing summer miles. And so you get injured from overwork. So that's an example of mine, a testimony of mine. And from my experience, why do I say this stuff? Because it's not about being the best man or the best woman. It's about being the best Christian or best person. And obviously, you have a male role and a woman role to a small degree. We all have to work. So if you're a writer, you want to be a writer, and there might be a time where you want to set aside and sacrifice finances, but be smart. Don't fall for that trap, because that trap of being the best man in the world and working so hard has gotten us into what? I'm not against working hard and all that. I'm about to show when to work hard. It's when do you work hard for things that aren't related to your skill. And there are people who are talented and can multitask, but don't have any focus. What are they working for? Know what you're working for. Keep your focus. You don't work so hard that you lose your focus in what you're doing it for. And sometimes, but you do at a point, and that's the point what I was going to get to. You do at that point if you have to. Now, if you have to, you're young, you have to, and you're proving yourself that you can make it for a job and in the world. But you get to that point where you'll do that and you'll go into it, but you don't forget why you're doing it, because you're working hard to make money, because you want to promote your skill, your talent, whatever. Your videos. You want to have money and be able to promote say if you wrote books, you want to be able to promote your books. So you've written them already. You've already done the thinking. You've thought and prayed and studied and try to write the best you can and make sure you're not overlooking stuff. And so when people are talking about being a good man, they're trying to do something good, but they're overlooking stuff. Some people are trying to trick people into being their slave by telling them to be the best man in the world, that you're not a good man if you don't work and do this and multitask. But that's a gifted person. I already said it once, but it's a lot of times that's a talented person who can multitask. But the main thing we need to do is stand up for what's good and right and speak when you can, and not and if you really believe something, you're going to speak on it. So learn what you believe, study what you believe, work the one job. And so don't let them trap you into saying you got to be a man so they can trick everybody. The ones that do that have tricked everybody into being a slave society to rentals and never owning anything. You go get that deal. You go get that cheap land. You go buy that, build that cheap house. Build the house as cheap as you can. Build a good house, whether it's small or big, something sturdy, somewhere you can, to where you don't have to be forced into being somebody's slave just to keep the rent payment. All right. That's part of it. So people should work for ownership, be wise, but be smart and take time to argue for your rights and realize that you can do that through media venues, whether Fox News picks on people for being on media or not. And I like Fox News, but I don't know if this is a trick they may be worried about. Everybody's getting on media and doing stuff for free, or maybe getting paid, some of them. But they do it for free, and that's hurting our ratings. And we're doing it. We depend on this for our livelihood. And the people on Fox News are talented. They're gifted. But they're not always right about ethics. So, like they talk about, they're so good at explaining, some of them, how we have dehumanized Republicans and Christians to where Democrats are getting away with promoting violence against them, right? But look who Fox News dehumanizes. Has tended to dehumanize a lot in the past, and sometimes they realize their error and put one popular addict on TV, former addict or something, and show that they recovered or they beat it. They may just do that to cover it up. They may purposely dehumanize to be a part of it. That helps the drug cartel when you dehumanize addicts. So the most dehumanized people in our country are people who use a medicine. And they're dehumanized and they're able to be enslaved in ghettos and everywhere else by the drug cartels. They're able to be killed, extorted, everything else. And that's their fault because they used a medicine. Now it's a medicine that was made illegal. I don't support doing that, but it's a battle because it's like making coffee illegal. I mean, you could try to stay off it if you want, but you just don't understand why they made it illegal. And when it's time you're just tired and more and you need some coffee, you're going to go get your coffee, even if it's illegal, right? And a lot of people will, and they can't help it. Almost they can, but it doesn't make sense. So then they rationalize it. It's because the law is not God. It's not a law where you're hurting your neighbor. It's not the best thing for your body to drink coffee. We know that, but it does help like a medicine sometimes, and we need to quit looking at it like food. So we've been tricked into doing it too much and not being more careful to help work on our health because it's legal. And the only thing we're against is not doing anything illegal in a country where you're allowed to contest whether a law is righteous or if it's a manipulative law, a sabotage law. And so a law like that would clearly be sabotage, but that's what we have out there. So I'm just saying, make trees, leaves, and teas legal. That's maybe have to take a class for those herbal teas. Those are herbal things. Those are not regular foods. Those are herbs. A lot of them. Well, some leaves, you have to learn the differences, and it's hard to remember all the differences. Some leaves, like spinach leaves, are not herbs. It's a vegetable. But other leaves are herbs and natural medicines God created. And some of those are the ones that are illegal in the streets, but they're only out there in the strongest form. They're not regulated, and they're run by, they put it in a thief network's hands for corrupt government. And so they have stolen private property rights using that method. And